Well, happening today, one of California's most notorious killers returns to the court, hoping to get a new trial. Jurors convicted Scott Peterson nearly 20 years ago. This is in the case that captivated the Bay Area and much of the nation.
Well, today in the Bay's Conejero Saab is live outside the courthouse in Redwood City. Ginger, let's talk about what's in play in today's hearing.
Good morning, Chris and Marcus. There's a lot in play today. It will be a high-profile, high-stakes hearing here in Redwood City. Now, Scott Peterson's defense team is expected to make the case that he did not receive a fair trial almost 20 years ago because of a juror who may have identified too closely to Lacey Peterson, the victim, who was also his wife, as well as their unborn son, who was also murdered. Now, back then, Peterson was sentenced to death by lethal injection. The death penalty was overturned in 2020, but Peterson's sentence to life in prison was upheld. We're told this is now the Peterson team's last best chance for a new trial. There will be an oral argument that will be followed up by a detailed evidentiary hearing that will start at 10 a.m. The defense team is expected to argue that one of the jurors misrepresented herself during the jury selection process. That juror, the defense argues, was pregnant at the time and a victim of domestic violence. This, they say, affected her impartiality. Now, you will remember Lacey Peterson, Scott's wife, was pregnant when she was murdered. Now, the prosecution, on the other hand, will argue while there may have been some innocent recollections that this juror did not disclose, they in no way affected her decision in that jury room. As legal expert Stephen Clark tells us, the job of the defense team today is clear.
The burden isn't to show that she committed perjury, but that they didn't get the information they needed to make a fair process of jury selection. And I think that's what's key for the court.
Now, what happens if the judge decides in favor of the Peterson team? Let's take a listen.
If Peterson gets a new trial, you will see a whole new defense strategy. They have been going for 20 years and investigating this case, and you will likely see a very different trial than you saw 20 years ago. And it's going to be a challenge for the prosecution because they have to dust off a 20-year-old murder case and try to find witnesses and get the experts lined up again.
Now, today's decision will be pivotal in whether this case is finally laid to rest or if it will see another day in court. All of that begins in just a few hours at 10 a.m. We'll be watching closely and updating you guys back at the studio. Marcus and Chris?